Welcome back to the Dead Hours, my lovelies. It's time to call the corners. I am your host and the future ghost with the most, Vivian Noir, and many of you may be familiar with the fact that I am a practicing pagan witch, and it's something I hold very dear. And what better time to take a deeper dive into the aspects of magic and mystery, as well as the paranormal, than right at the height of spooky season, right? Perfect timing. So joining me today are some of the lovely members of an active coven located in Austin, Texas, known as Shadowcast ATX. One of their members I have known for many, many years now, and I'm thrilled to have them here as my special guests today. So please welcome two of the members of Shadowcast ATX and stars of their own YouTube show with more than 2,500 views and 8 episodes so far, Daily South and Jeffrey Lord.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How are
you? Doing well. Thank you so much for. I just gotta say it's so good to see you.
How are you surviving the apocalypse?
Oh my gosh, I've been okay. I've been better.
I feel like that's the general consensus for 2020.
Entirely. Yeah, we've known each other since 2005, so we both have been through a lot. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing us to be on your show. I watch it every Wednesday, and I've told my coven about it. And
he talks about it constantly. I'm so excited to be here, and it's an honor to meet you as well.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to meet you guys. I know you guys I've seen you guys pop up with questions on the regular, and I love that. I love when people ask questions. You know, that's my jam. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah. I started getting quite a few of our friends out here in Austin starting to watch the show now, and
awesome.
So it's a wonderful little treat. It's like I'll drop everything just so I can see the show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. So we'll get into it. I know your full coven is not able to be here tonight, but I have you two guys, so we're
here.
Questions. You guys are here. Yay.
Yeah, that is correct. Zoe Soul and Zeph Rex could not be here tonight. They are working Zoe's business.
Yeah, Zoe started a new business. It's called House of the Wildling. It's this all-inclusive website. They have all sorts of witchy products as well as courses. Right now she's running a shadow course called Persephone's Hollow. And it's right in the thick of it right now. So she's helping 20-something people through this intensive shadow work every day. So she's just got her hands full.
Yeah, so we were like, hey, we want to do this. And so she's like, no worries, we can catch up and let's see what happens.
Absolutely. We can always have everybody pop on for another.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Oh, entirely. Yeah.
So how long have each of you been practicing the craft, and what initially called you to it?
Do you want to start?
I'll start with this one.
It's very different for everyone. So
yeah, well, I actually just celebrated my 18 years, so I am 32 years old. I mean, I've been practicing since I was about 15 years old. I think that's just a few years earlier before I met you back in 2000. And I just celebrated October 2nd was the time where I really started getting into it 18 years ago. And it's just something, there was a few kids at school and back in middle school, and I was just really interested in their aesthetic and their lifestyle. And then I had a friend named Ashley at the time, and she was she's like, oh yeah, I'm a witch, this and this. And then she showed me the book to ride a silver broomstick, which I think is a lot of beginner witches, starting books. And I just started reading into that, and I realized, and it was just something that the magic has called to me over time since I was even younger. And I have just got really attuned with my psyche and everything else like that, and just continued my whole course. And I practice primarily more of a druidic path and tarot readings. So lots of divination.
He's amazing. Hopefully we'll get to show you some of that later.
Yeah.
So for myself, I mean, as a child, I was always a very magical child. I had a huge imagination. I was talking to the trees and the wind and the earth, and I was always naked outside. Like my poor parents could not keep clothing on me, which is the case now, but it's okay because now I'm an adult.
Mine could never
clothes did not exist. When I was 15, I actually had my vampiric awakening, which less witchcraft, more energy work, which I guess kind of ties in a way. Though I did not identify as a witch, I only identified as a vampire. And so for the next 15 years or so, I kind of went back and forth with practicing the craft when I needed to. I was in a very toxic relationship for a good 5 years, in which I sort of learned to deepen my witchcraft, but it wasn't really for myself. It was more so that I could protect myself and survive this not great relationship I was in. So after he and I ended things, I kind of stopped practicing again, because to me, it was just kind of a reminder of that bad time in my life. And then a year and a half ago, I got together with these weirdos, and I kind of started rediscovering my magic for myself, and only for myself, and not for anyone else. And so I kind of it's kind of been an on and off thing for me throughout the years. I've used it when I needed it, but this is the first time in the last year and a half is the first time I've really ever used it for myself, and done it for myself and not because of someone else.
Yeah. It's really fascinating the way how we have all come together within the last year. We actually, this past August, us as a coven, there's 4 of us. We actually just celebrated our year anniversary, and we actually got coven tattooed.
We did.
So
love it.
Little, not sure if you guys can see it, but
Yeah.
Love it.
We'll represent an element.
Yeah, so we our first ritual, we discovered that each of our astrological signs made up the 4 elements. And that was why that our energy and our rituals were so intense, is that we had all 4 of those elements. And when we called the 4 directions, we were able to actually all represent it. And so we went and all got our elemental signs tattooed together.
I love it. So in the very first episode of the show, I remember you guys kind of discussed how you guys all met each other.
Yes.
Kind of recap that for us. Like how did you guys
don't tell the whole story.
We have a habit of just telling the whole story. There's a pagan ranch that I attend here near Austin, Texas. It's just a little bit about 45 minutes east of Austin. And it's called Dragon Wild Ranch. To where they host 2 big festivals each year, and that's during Samhain and Beltane. Back, I think
it was 2014.
About 5 or 6 years ago is when I met Zoe and Zeph, and they were performing there, and their band Sin and Seraphim, which is like kind of a gothy,
it's a very witchy band.
very, very witchy band. They were like the #1 band in electronic goth band in Germany for a year, for 2018. It was amazing. So I heard they were coming, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I'm actually one of the main priests out there, and perform a lot of rituals and everything with all the witches out there. It's a great community because, I'll go in that a little bit later. But basically, I met Zoe and Zeph out there, and then a few years later, we started to hang out a little bit more and getting to know each other. And over time, Zoe's just become she's like my all-time best friend now. So I get to see her, have a great time. And then later on in life, us 2 ran into each other quite a few times. And
so we met back in 2012 or 2013.
2013, yes.
Yeah. So 2013, my husband and I were celebrating our 1-year anniversary together, and we went to Sherwood Fair, which is where he works. And we sort of just ran into each other, and he came up behind me and did his little cicada, that noise.
That
My
noise.
ear, and I just like swung around. I was like, "What was that?" And my husband was like, "Well, that was a fairy, dear."
Yes, that was.
And I was just mind blown. And for the next like 5 or 6 years, we just kind of ran into each other randomly, like every 5 months. He came to my wedding. We were just constantly running into each other at weird places,
At certain events that you just wouldn't really think that we would go to.
Right.
Yeah, and we also ran into each other at like the airport. We just like the universe was like,
So, like
no,
ship sailing in the night,
come
and
back,
eventually they're going to come and meet.
and then Zoe and Zeph, they were performing with their band at Elysium during an event, and that's where me and my husband would host our vampire balls, was at Elysium. And we walked in one day, saw them performing. My husband said, "Get them. I want them. Get them.
Yep.
I want them to perform." So I connected with them, and over the next year, I had them play a bunch of events for us, but we never really got like close. We just were business partners, and I would hire them for things. And then one night, right before House of Mab, Jeffrey texts me and says, "Come over, hang out with all of us." And I was like,
just being spontaneous.
I'm not a social person. I don't like hanging out with people. I just don't. I'm just a.
That's changed quite a bit.
Well, with you guys. And I did. I came over. We all just connected on some very intense level, and we've all been together ever since.
Yep.
That's the story.
So was it apparent from the beginning that you guys would start practicing together, that you guys would start doing spell work together? Was that apparent from jump?
Kind of.
I mean, it just really.
We just kind of fell into it, and it made sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like any relationship. Like it just kind of feels natural.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of how it went for us. You know, we kind of just like toyed with the idea and then did a ritual one night, and we were all just like, "Whoa.
What was that?
Holy crap.
This show's going to be amazing what we're going to go to." And just over time, we just, every full moon, every pagan holiday, we just started celebrating together, hanging out with each other, and just moved from there. And when we did that, it just went from one thing to the next. And it was like, sincerely, the universe has really pulled us together. And if we kind of look at it, we've done some work, and we feel like we've definitely had past lives together as well. So,
and all four of us have been a huge, like, we've taught each other things. Mm-hmm. We've all been lessons for each other.
Entirely.
And so the growth that we've all been through in the last year and a half is just exponential.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because once you meet your people, like, they help you discover yourself and help you grow in yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely, 100%. So we do have some, I hate to use the term, but I guess we have muggles in the chat.
Oh, that's all right.
We love muggles.
We love them.
Some of whom are not maybe 100% familiar. We do have some practitioners in the chat as well. But some who may not be familiar with the concepts and the terms that we were throwing around. So for those who may be unfamiliar, kind of explain briefly what a coven is and kind of how that works.
I feel like the word coven gets used a lot in many different instances.
Yes.
I feel I've seen covens that are very large and that kind of have like an application process, and it's more of like a kind of like a club where you can go in and learn from each other, and there's a high priestess and they do all that. That's not our way of doing things.
We're a closed coven, if anything.
Yeah, the term coven for us just means, that's just the best word we could come up with for our weird relationship that we have where we do magic.
It's a very weird relationship.
But I mean, coven just means to me a family that practices magic together.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's just the easiest way to tell people, "Oh, hey, I'm hanging out with my coven," and people just know immediately here, oh, they're going to go hang out with
that's their
Daily
family,
Zoe and Zeph, and that's their family. So that's how we're very family oriented.
We have family dinners.
We do.
There you go.
Some during some rituals that are during the dinners, and that's always fun.
Ritual during dinner.
Yeah.
You know what they say? You know what they say? Nothing says loving like something from the coven.
Oh
yes,
the coven seven even.
Yeah,
that is what
we just got done cooking actually for dinner. Afterwards, we're gonna do a little ritual tonight, and then
eat some chicken.
Yeah.
Cool. I haven't not done one in a long time, just because I haven't had anybody over to do the whole. Usually I'm like doing other stuff, so I've been solo practicing for so long that I'm just like my hermit of like.
Vivian,
but I
If
shake
you're
people, you know.
if you're ever in Austin, give me a heads up. You have a place to stay, and we'll be more than happy to open the circle up to you. I'm sure that
Thank
you
you so
bring
much.
a beautiful magic to the realm.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was like, I used to do the whole like Samhain, the whole like the dumb dinner and everything. Like I used to do that.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
It is my favorite too. It's my favorite. Like I'm not hugely like, I'm terrible with like my dates, and I go, wait, what days? Oh shit. Like what day is it? Oh shit, it's a holiday. I forgot.
Honestly, there's days where we forget on what. Oh wait, what day is this holiday on?
Every day.
So,
Being a witch is great for people who love holidays because there's always a holiday, and if there's not a holiday, there's a moon phase that you can celebrate.
yes, but now with the pandemic, it's been all kinds of crazy.
Right. But I wake up at like 11 o'clock and go, shit.
Yeah. What month is it? I don't even
Damn
know.
it. Like, so, but Samhain is that's the one I always remember, like, because that's my favorite. So but I just haven't done one in so long. But like, yeah, that sounds amazing. Like, I kind of like makes me kind of want to do one again. So, are there certain aspects or fields of magic, Jeffrey? You talked about tarot and divination that each of you were drawn to, that like you kind of specialize in.
Mm-hmm.
We will definitely say that for Zoe, she is a fairy witch, and then we have Zathian. He's more of
he's a tech witch.
He's a tech witch, a cyber witch.
He does a lot of like the technological like aspects of things, but he did mention that he's studied in depth a lot of Greek mythology. Is
Greek
that what
mythology
he said? Yeah.
and such like that.
He's actually practiced longer than any of us,
yes.
and he's got all sorts of weird knowledge.
You ask him anything, and the way he just analyzes and everything, and breaks apart about what it is. It's fascinating with the amount of knowledge that's in that man's brain.
He's an alien.
He's an alien. You'll notice if you watch our show, we mention that a few times. It's actually quite funny.
He is an alien.
For me, I would definitely say, so I'm on like kind of like the Green Witch, the Druidic path. You know, I'm all about nature, mountain magic and such. And then, but primarily I do attune myself with Fae. So I do consider myself a Fae, but of the unseelie spectrum. So there's Seelie and unseelie, some more mischief and mayhem, but in a good chaotic nature around it. So
I'm definitely more on the eclectic side. I kind of pick and choose from each aspect of witchcraft what works for me. I am very nature centered. I am a fairy witch. I am actually Seelie on the fairy spectrum, which is interesting because I also have that vampiric aspect of myself as well. So I've got this weird light and dark thing that I have going on. Yeah, which is why we're doing the shadow work right now, trying to figure that out.
Yes.
But yes, very nature centered. I am the heathen running naked and barefoot through the forest in the mud. Like that's me. I love herbal medicine. I love studying plants.
She's a very good hedge witch.
I have a lot of stuff. And then I also love like the pagan kind of druidic heathen look as well. Like that, all that kind of stuff kind of appeals to me. And I'm learning every day. Like sometimes I see something new and I'm like, yes, this is also me.
I like this.
Yes.
It's
going to be mine.
Yes, you can actually see right behind us. This is my altar here in my home. So here you go. And I have several different little ones everywhere, but this is
his whole house is an altar.
Entirely. It's funny when I live in a studio, literally almost kind of like a cottage in the middle of the woods. You from the outside, it's like, oh, it's a nice little house. You walk in, and people are like, I feel like I can buy so many witch supplies here.
Yeah, it looks like a magic shop.
It is. Yeah, it's like a magic shop.
But as a fire sign, like I also do a lot of candle magic. I'm huge in manifestation. Like even before I was practicing witchcraft, I would manifest. I'm like, man, I need some money, and I would just create that. It would just appear, and the next day I'm like, here's some money. What happened? So,
yeah.
It was that easy. If I want that talent, can I just have that little?
We'll work on manifestation.
There you go. Have a manifestation.
It's something I'm wanting to learn soon, so it'd be really nice.
And that's very true. It's like we never whisper. She's a practitioner in the chat as well. She said we never stop learning, no matter how long we've been practicing, and that's very true. It's something that you constantly are in a state of learning. You never reach the end of that. Right. You know, it's a constant evolving craft. So
that is very true. I feel like. And anyone that wants to practice or is practicing or has been practicing, longer than however so many people, I always say that, you want to pass that knowledge down to others.
Yeah.
Don't keep it for yourself. It's not meant to be kept sacred. It's like nowadays it's like
share that
knowledge. Yes, share it. Today, there was
all over the place.
Keep that to yourself. You don't get caught. But now it's
witches are cool now.
Yeah, it's in.
Just like when vampires became cool, and I was like, what happened?
I could practice religion for it.
So getting into that, so shows like Sabrina, American Horror Story have definitely propelled the practice of witchcraft to the forefront of mainstream consciousness.
Oh, yes.
What are your feelings about how witches are being portrayed currently in the media when it comes to pop culture?
Oh, so I'll let you take this one.
Well, the only reason I have an opinion about this is because being in the vampire community as long as I have, I've been asked the same question about vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people always want to know about the whole Twilight thing. And I'm like, as vampires, the majority of us don't like the Twilight. We like the Anne Rice look. We're the Anne Rice, less Twilight. And I feel like it's kind of similar with witches. I mean, I personally like shows like Sabrina. I like shows like American Horror Story,
Coven. Oh,
I mean, I find them all to be aesthetically beautiful. There's a little bit of truth behind the fiction. They throw in some stuff that's accurate, and then there's some stuff that's not, that's just for show.
Yeah.
But I think when you're a practicing witch or a vampire, what's truth and what's fiction.
Right.
Like that you can look at a TV show and go, obviously this is for entertainment value.
Yeah.
I
like the one of the shows I really do like is The Magicians.
Mm-hmm.
And in the show in The Magicians, they actually do, how they do their magic. The witches all do little hand things, and which is really neat. But when you're actually really paying attention to the show, there's actually they do you can tell they actually do their research, because they mention stuff, sex magic. They mentioned about that. There's all sorts of things that how the sigils and other little things, that aspects, like these shows, they actually have people who do research to make sure they don't really do anything and stuff like that. But I really appreciate it. I love how it's actually a popular thing, and it's like I'm able to go on the streets and actually openly talk about it without being appalled or something.
I feel like a lot of people are turning to alternative faiths, alternative religions, other than the very limited ones that people are brought up with. And I think a lot of that has to do with what's happening in the world right now, and just 2020 in general as well. People are looking to reconnect with their source and with the root of existence, nature and ancestry and things like that. So anything that brings them closer to that, I don't feel is a bad thing.
Yes.
And then there's people trying to hex the moon. So I don't know about
Of course. Well, you got TikTok, and then what
and then you have Witch Talk, and
we're actually on TikTok.
We're on TikTok.
Yeah, you follow us at Shadowcast ATX, and we have a little witchy TikTok, and we do some fun little things.
We do fun. It's mostly comedy and then pretty videos.
Pretty videos, yeah. We have been talking about doing some rituals and like some spell work and teaching people else. And I like the little hashtag that we're using is baby witch, or what are the hashtags?
People are using that,
and it's really beautiful because you see the amount of community that's been built in the TikTok community of how people are like, hey, I want to learn, and there's just people who are like, boom, I've learned a lot from just watching TikTok videos, and I appreciate it so much, and just the fact that it's being talked about now is just amazing.
Oh, definitely. It's great to have that representation in the media, so long as it's not a harmful representation.
Right.
So, entirely. Yes.
It's nice to see a positive representation where, when I was in my teens and things like that, is a negative. Like a lot of it was like the media driven things were negative about panic, the whole nonsense. So on the flip side, so that leads to my next question. So what are some common misconceptions that the media and the mainstream sources tend to propagate regarding witches and witchcraft?
That witches equal Satan.
Yes.
Whoa.
I think that is the biggest.
That is the biggest one
right there.
If you're a witch, you obviously worship Satan.
The one thing I really did like how they did in The Adventures of Sabrina, if you look at that TV show, you find out Sabrina and all those with that coven of witches are satanic witches.
Yeah. Then they have the pagan witches.
Then they have the pagan witches that come in, and it's like, wow, that's a whole different aspect.
Right.
So there's all sort. Witches it can go anywhere in any direction. There's Norse witches. There's
heck, I even know some Christian witches.
Celtic, yes.
Catholic witches.
Kitchen witches. gardening witches.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fascinating how that can be and everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Witchcraft is not always dark. It can be very beautiful and healing. It's all about nature and love
Just
and
loving nature and
my mom's
other.
actually she's like, I like that you're a witch. I bring her herbs and stuff for my garden. She goes, I like this better than the vampire thing. It's so funny.
It's very amusing.
She'll call me. We'll be out in the woods doing a ritual, and she's like, "Are you doing some spells, honey?" Yeah.
Are you doing some spell work in the woods?
Yep.
Are you all running naked?
Are you running naked through the woods, honey?
Yes, Mom.
She likes me doing that because it reminds her of me as a child, and she's like, "Oh, good, she's back to her child self," and
It's beautiful. Speaking of moms, I mean, my mom, she deals in a lot of the chakra energies and the crystals and everything, so she's really attuned with that stuff. She just recently found out within the last couple of years about that sort of thing, and now she does herbal oils and everything, and it's absolutely cool. And she asks me questions, I'm able to help her, so it's nice that I get to teach her some as she teaches stuff.
Witchcraft is for all ages.
All ages, yes.
This is very true. There's so many, like we talked about, like many people like are turning to alternative faith systems and things like that because of, it could just be because everything's so chaotic right now and nobody really knows what's going on. So some of them yeah, exactly. 2020 is wild and out, y'all.
Girl.
They've either had so some people, when they turn to these things, they've either had issues with family members or relatives understanding their practice. Have either of you had those issues when you came out of the broom closet?
Oh,
I was a vampire drinking blood for 15 years. My mom she is desensitized.
Oh man.
She's like, oh, you're gardening? You're gardening now? That's good.
That's nice. I like
that. I will say, when I started practicing in the 8th grade of middle school, and I got like that derided silver broomstick. My family, we're not really religious in general. We didn't go to church every Sunday or anything. We're just like, we're just gonna be laid back and just kind of chill, do our own little thing. But of course, I'm the adventurous fantasy ongoer. Let's go, let's never come back. Peter Pan, never grow up. And my mom actually found that book, and she's gonna kill me. I'm saying this. She actually found that book in my backpack when I asked her, "Hey, can you grab me some for my homework?" And she flipped on me, and she took that book away from me, and I didn't get that book for a whole week. I was like, I need to give this book back to my friend, and I told my friend what happened, and she's like, "It's over." And I remember actually saying, "It's all right, Jeffrey. Don't worry. Well, you get to come when you come over to hang out. You'll read the book all you want." and so it was kind of cool. It was like, I feel like there was like a little coven of us, baby witches running around school, and we would always pass the book around, and we had a journal, and we write about, what we're thinking and such. And we actually created laws on school grounds, like you can't practice magic on school grounds.
That's cute.
That's cute.
A park was like off limits. It was really funny, but over time, my mom and my dad and over my whole family just really got used to me being my own weird witchy aesthetic, and over time they were just completely understandable, and they're like, he's not, because they thought it was a Satanist thing and everything.
Oh yeah, they always think that.
But I will have to say, also, I love Satanists. I think they're amazing.
Oh, yeah. We have nothing
They're absolutely beautiful people, and I mean, they kick ass at everything they do. I have a lot of friends that are, and I absolutely adore them.
Shout out to the Satanic Temple.
Yes.
Represent.
Thank you for
Austin
fighting.
chapter.
Yes, thank you for fighting for our equality and everything.
Yeah.
They're huge in that.
My mom freaked out when I awakened as a vampire at 15, and I started wearing black and doing all that, and she freaked out then. So when I told her that I was practicing witchcraft, she was like, "That sounds better." My mom was she already went through her freak out phase. And,
she's like, past that or over it already.
Mom just took a couple more years, and then she understood. Okay, this is my son now, and now I'm like, I mean, I have all this stuff, and she comes over, she's like, "Ooh, can I have this quartz crystal?" "No, you can't have that."
No, it's not. Excuse me.
You can have it. "Oh, no, I'm good. I just want the crystals."
Like, first of all, how dare you? And why? And no.
No touchy.
No touchy. No, we have a really good relationship, and it's really fun to see where we were and where we are now. So it's a good story.
So that's awesome. And that's such a good and enriching story that when people come around and things like that, and because some people get disowned because they come from a very hardcore religious background and things like that. So it's always good to hear those positive stories.
Yeah.
Of, you know, people coming to their own awakening of a different belief system and being accepted by their family members and being like, you know, it might take them some time because they're getting used to this idea. But it's always good to hear that positive interaction for sure. So there are some, I've noticed that there's a lot of issues kind of bubbling up recently in the magical communities when it comes to cultural appropriation in rituals and practice. For example, the use of white sage or aspects of voodoo magic for non-native practitioners. What are your feelings on this?
So my husband is part native. He actually comes from a direct line of Chief John Bowles, and but he's white passing, very white passing. But his mother's a genealogist and has all their records from that community.
Yes.
And I feel like with as far as the white sage goes, I understand that it is extremely it's being harvested inappropriately. And that's why a lot of witches that I know have started growing their own white sage. And
I have 3 different kinds in my front yard right now
and
that
so
start growing.
I'm not going to lie and say I don't buy white sage every now and then, but I have started growing my own sage. And I feel like that's going to be an easier and better for the environment way of utilizing herb. My husband, I've actually talked to him a few times. Like I was setting up my meditation room and I said, I really want a dream catcher in here. I said, is that bad? I was like, is that cultural appropriation? He goes, let me put it to you this way. As a native person and from everything that I've researched, natives were constantly trying to share their information with other communities and trying to like, hey, use this, do this. And it was the other communities that were kind of like, no, that's stupid. We don't want to use that. He's like, we've been trying to make y'all like use our shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I do think that there is a very specific way to do it that is not cultural appropriation. Like we did a video where we talked about guides and totems. We tried very hard not to use the term spirit animal because that is very specific to native culture. So we talked more about guides and omens and things like that because they're not necessarily animals. You can have ancestral guides, you can have non-animal like, you know, dragon, you know, any type of guides. So we try to be very careful with what we utilize, how we utilize it, and the terminology that we use. Obviously, we never want to offend anyone with anything that we do while we're doing our magical practices. I've never personally used any type of voodoo magic myself, but I do have a lot of friends that work shops in New Orleans that probably do. I'm not super versed in the voodoo side of things. The only reason I know anything about the native side is because of my husband. But I think that there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to go about things. And there's always ways to do it that are respectful to the different communities that created the aspects.
Definitely. I think as long as it's practiced in a respectful way, then it's not so much cultural appropriation as it is cultural appreciation.
Exactly.
And I mean, you can always take that extra step when you're looking to have some herbs purchased and just make sure you're buying from more of like a local source and you're not buying from just someone who's just out there just like chopping everything down and harvesting illegal.
Exactly. And when we actually, as a coven, we actually do reach out to fellow friends and such, say, hey, is this, you know, all right or something. So we do our research and everything to make sure that we are appropriate in the uses of any kind of materials that we do use.
And there's a lot of things you can utilize other than white sage that work just as well. And so I always make sure to stock a ton of that as well. So I'm not just using up all my sage, you know.
For sure. So I'm gonna lose my place. So speaking of like animal totems and things like that and spirit animals, like I said, it's do you guys, so kind of off on that subject, do you keep familiars as a part of your practice or do you utilize familiars?
Go ahead.
I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
He's sleeping.
Oh, he's
no, he's upset. He's like, oh no. Oh no.
So this is Sir Donatello. This is my little guy here. And Sir Donatello is actually so as a kid growing up, I've always, you know, I've been I've been very attuned with animals in general. So I've always had dogs growing up, and he is my 7th dog I've had. I have 2 other ones.
And now he's coming over here.
I have two other ones who live with my parents,
Okay,
but because of their
now.
breed, they couldn't move in or anything. So I left them with my parents, and they have a yard. And it's beautiful. Later on in life, I just got this guy, and I've noticed that when I'm doing readings, he actually he literally will lay down in front of me or right behind the computer screen because we have to do virtual readings now.
Right.
And he will go to sleep, and I'm doing readings, and it's interesting because right after I'm done, that's when he wakes up. So I feel like he goes into a spiritual trance, from my belief, and he wakes up, and I feel like, oh, he's protecting me. And we had a ritual here in my room. We had a bunch of candles set up, and he actually stayed on the outside, right where the entryway of the ritual circle was, and
he's going after my wine.
and it's just over time. I mean, so this little guy here, he is my familiar.
He's not gonna be little very much longer.
No, he's gonna get really big. but you can understand that, with animals. Zoe, she has a black cat named Grimalkin. That's her.
She is a crazy cat. She showed up on her doorstep and is just the most like.
I think
I only allow certain people to touch me.
She showed up as a little kitten, right?
She wasn't a kitten. She was older, but not as old as she is now.
Yeah. But had a black cat find Zoe. So I feel like they come to you because it was funny. I was driving up, and my friend's like, "Oh, hey, I have some dogs, and I've been looking to get a dog for my place." And I was like, all right, I want to get a new dog and such. And right when I pulled up, he jumped the little puppy fence
and ran up to you.
And ran up the car before I even got out. And I was like, is this one claimed? And they're like, no, that's the last one. I was like, he's mine. So I felt like he was sent to me. And ever since then, he's helped me a lot in my own craft, which has been very helpful. He's licking my foot right now.
My familiar is no longer with us. He has passed into the spirit realm and is now a guide. But he is someone that I work with regularly in my practice. I have his ashes not only tattooed into my skin, but I have him on several different rings, charms, things like that. And I also have a little urn of his ashes on my altar. So whenever I call guides or anything like that, he is one of the guides that I call. So he still is very much my familiar in that we still work together very heavily, but he is now a spirit guide.
Yeah, mine's the same way. And it's funny because mine has also passed over, but it was the same kind of thing where she chose me. And I had wanted because I wanted a black cat for the longest time. And I have one now, but I wanted a black cat, and my friend his cat had kittens, and there was only 3 kittens in the litter, and one of them was a black cat. And I was like, he'd already promised it to someone else. So I'm trying to convince him to give me this black cat because I'm me.
Was that the one that bit me back in 2000?
It is the one that bit you.
I still have the scar, by the way.
So
I look at it every now and then. I'm like, oh, Vivian. I wonder how she's doing.
So my familiar scarred him. So
you should say thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's greatest part because it's right on the middle finger. So I'm just like, it's the biggest F-bomb towards me ever. It's hilarious because that was a fun festive night.
Yeah. So she crawled. I was convincing my friend. I was sitting on the couch looking at him in his kitchen, going, okay, well, if you switch the cats, your friend's not going to know. If he's not going to know the difference. And I have my hand like this, just sitting on the couch. And this tiniest kitten, she was the runt of the litter of 3, weighed probably less than a pound. She was super itty bitty. She crawled up the couch and fell asleep in my hand.
Oh.
Just curled up in my hand and fell asleep. And I was like, I guess I'll take this one. So that is the one that's the funny story that he has a scar because of my familiar. So. So you guys practice as a coven. Do you believe that solo practice can be just as impactful and powerful as group work or being part of a coven?
I definitely think both can be just as powerful.
Both, entirely.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think there's certain rituals that you can save for group activity and ones that are very specific to just you that you're only going to do that well if you're on your own. Mm-hmm. I've done plenty of solo rituals where I'm like, wow, I would not have been able to do that with multiple energies, mixing in with mine. Mm-hmm. Right. And then other ones where you have to have that extra energy boost to kind of call on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, both are great.
I feel like any experience that you have, no matter what, it's going to be very impactful.
Stealing your wine.
Oh, okay. When so I would do my own craft and everything, my own little work, and I have a completely different energy than what I would have when I practiced with the rest of the coven, and it's very interesting on how the two differentiate. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, I practice again. I've like been my hermit, like shaking my fist at the sun for so long that I'm like I forget what it's like to do to do group work.
I remember us working together, and we would talk about a few things, and I remember a few people would pass by, and we would kind of just stay quiet, like do, and then we would talk about it.
back to work, and then so anyways,
about that demon. No.
Not that demon that's in your house. Oh, me? Yeah, I know.
Definitely been a trip.
So we've kind of talked about like again like the whole like drawn to alternative faiths and alternative things and coming out of the broom closet. Have either of you encountered any like prejudices or problems or issues based on your chosen faith?
Ooh, yes.
As a witch, but it's so funny to me because I've been asked all these questions in previous interviews about being a vampire.
Right.
And so, yes, I've had all of that as a vampire, not so much as a witch because everyone already knows me as a vampire. So nothing I do now is any weirder.
Yeah. Because I consider myself fae and such. And so I'm at, this is actually the first time I was at the Pagan Ranch, Dragon Wild. And there were two people who found out that I considered myself fae. Well, there wasn't that many people at the ranch themselves. I mean, think about it. This is a ranch that has like 200 to 300 people attending and such. I'm like one of like maybe 5 fae folk, per se.
Right.
And I remember the first day I met some people, and then they found out, they were like, "Oh, cool, we're all cool." And then the next day, they actually found out what I was, and they just flipped their shit on me. Like, I mean, they lost it.
It's a weird thing to freak out about.
But it's because they had a previous bad experience with someone of the fae type, and later on in life, they found out. They came over to me like a couple of days later and apologized, and we were kind of cool. And then later on, different events, we just became actually really good friends over time. And so, yeah, I mean, and there's been a few events I've actually gone to, and there's been some protesters outside and such. And I just go out and blow a kiss and wave and, be my little gay self and prance about and go back inside and enjoy myself. Yeah, I'm a very open-minded and laid-back person, and and I have a lot of friends that are of different faiths and everything. And yeah, there's times where we talk about religion and such, but we all respect each other in every way. So yes, I've run into that many times, actually.
Yeah. I feel like anyone who doesn't ascribe to like the norm of society is going to get some shit every now and then.
Oh, entirely.
Now and again, it's I've had it rarely happen, but like it does, here and there it'll pop up every once in a while, but like it's pretty rare, which is nice. So Daly, we talked about the vampire court. Are you and your husband still the king and queen of the vampire court in Austin?
So we actually retired back in January.
Okay.
This was pre-corona. My husband actually decided to go to LA for a month at a time to do his acting career because he's been wanting to be an actor for a long time. Acting career's dried up in Austin, so he actually got a place in LA and was going out there every couple of weeks to kind of do acting. Of course, then the pandemic hit, and no one's doing anything now.
Right.
But we are still part of the VCA. We have, however, left the general vampire community, but we are still part of the Vampire Court of Austin. We left our jobs to our very good friends, Nathaniel and Layla. They're our longtime council member. They were the original Baron and Baroness of the court, have served on the court for 6 years. So we thought they would be the absolute best people to take that job. And it was a unanimous vote. We put the vote set down. We said, hey, we're retiring. We nominate them. What do you guys think? And they said, yes, they're the next best ones to take it over. So.
And I think I recall the first time I've seen you, and I had to go back and watch it because I was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen this, was on Dark Tourist on Netflix.
I was done
like,
a ton of reality TV. Some fun, some less fun, some very educational, and other strictly entertainment value. So
and may do some more soon, actually.
We may do some more. Who knows when this coronavirus,
all that clears up. Yeah.
Get calls and emails all the time for stuff.
So does that tie into your craft as a practicing witch? And my cat's pulling my scenery down apparently in the background.
That's okay.
It's okay. I have my little goblin here.
He's knocking shit over.
I legit call my dog, my familiar, a goblin here. He eats everything. He's trying to eat our toes at the moment. So
I would say my vampirism definitely ties into my practice. Vampirism heavily relies upon energy manipulation and being able to sense and feed off of energies. Mm-hmm. So learning to So learning to utilize energies was kind of like a prequel to learning about witchcraft, and I kind of got to skip that step in learning magic and manifestation because I already knew how to work with energy. Right. So I feel like that definitely tied into that in a big way. Also, we had a ton of witches in our court, on our council. We had people that were specific to like magical works for the court that were kind of in charge of that. I learned a lot from them as well during that time period. So it definitely was a big help in helping me discover my craft as well.
Right. So then for people who may be unfamiliar with the practice, like the vampiric practice, are you a sanguine witch? Are you an energy witch or energy vampire, a sanguine vampire?
So I awakened as a sanguinary vampire primarily. Over time, I was able to learn how to feed energy wise, as it is a much safer and easier method of feeding. Obviously, it's hard to find like a donor that you trust that can get tested every 3 months, all that kind of thing. So energy is definitely the preferred method throughout the community. I still do feed from blood about once a month, but my primarily feeding practices are of the energy spectrum.
I was like,
that would be me.
I'm just you, dear, but yes, you. I've been feeding energy from Jeffrey for a very long time. Yes. Because he has great energy for those that know him. He has plenty to spare.
I have plenty of spare. And on top of that, regarding about that, I've given full consent for her to do that whenever she wants. There has been a few times where I'm like, hey, can we just, right now I need a little bit of break. And she understands. And, consent is a thing.
Yes, you never want to feed without consent.
We're very huge about consent and everything. So yeah, that's a pinpoint. Communication.
It's a very intimate practice of sharing energies
entirely
and feeding off of energies. So you have to go into that with full consent because otherwise it's not good. No.
Yeah, unless you're feeding from the ambient energy of a room, like a crowd of people or something like that, then yes, if you're taking energy directly from an individual, it is extremely important that you get consent first.
Absolutely. So we'll so off on that into the paranormal a little bit. Yes. So we're going into the paranormal. Have either of you had experiences with spirits or the paranormal?
Oh,
he's had way more than I have.
So with me, I have. I'm so sorry about my little dude here.
Okay, mine's
what do you want?
Yeah. With me, I mean, I've definitely. I used to belong to a ghost hunting group here out in Austin. Unfortunately, I cannot remember the name. It was about over 10 years ago, and we would go to different locations and such, and I would always have. Because I feel like I've been more psychically in tuned and everything. And there's been a few times where I've had handprints. Literally, I felt someone grabbing my shoulder. I got pulled. I've gotten pulled down a staircase when I was just in the middle, sitting there with the EMP recorder and everything. And that was really interesting. But there was one time I had a bit of a dark entity that was with me my whole life, and we finally.
It was in his closet, don't you know?
It was hiding in the closet.
Sometimes they do that,
And actually, it was the coven who really helped me a lot to come over that and to take care of it. I mean, we had to do a whole ritual that took 7-8 days, and on top of that, we went to a crossroad. Took a mirror. I had to break it myself. I mean, it was the emotions and everything that came around with that, around this dark entity that I've just created over time. That basically manifested itself. I've had to deal with, but spiritually, I've definitely I mean, I go to a graveyard. I mean, I just immediately I'll start saying something or I'll hear something, and boom. Next thing you know, we look at a gravestone and we're like, "Hey, what was that name you were saying?" and what year, and boom, there you go. And I've never, so yeah.
I have a question, because do you know a ton about like ghost hunting, things like that? I'm not sure what you're okay. So let me ask you this question. This will give you an answer as if I've had an experience or not. If you go on a ghost hunt, you pay to use the equipment, and there's a guide. Is it possible to like, if you have a dowsing rod and you're using a dowsing rod, is it possible for someone on the outside spectrum to affect that? To like fake the dowsing rod? Do you know if that's a thing?
I don't think that's necessarily possible, like a living person to interact.
Like if the guide was wanting it to make it seem like you were getting a cool reaction, could they somehow?
I'm tricky with dowsing rods. Like
that's really on the fence.
I'm very on the fence with dowsing rods, just because they are very like subjective to whoever's holding them, and whoever's like, guiding kind of the experience of what's happening. So it could be that somebody's trying to kind of manipulate. My cat is still trying to eat the scenery, like literally trying to eat the scenery.
We got one eating our toes, so we understand.
So I'm weird with dowsing rods. Like my whole thing with dowsing rods is I'm like, I'm not 100% sure about them, just because.
Let me tell you about my experience real quick, and I'll kind of gauge your opinion. So I went on a ghost hunt. I've never had any like super crazy paranormal experience as far as ghosts are concerned. That was like, man, that was a ghost that I saw there. But my husband has, and a lot of people have. So I paid for a ghost tour in New Orleans, where they rented you out the equipment. They took you to this super haunted place. Apparently one of the main ghosts is a child, is a little girl. And so I would I love the dowsing rods, because I feel like I always get the most stuff out of it. Right. So I'm holding the dowsing rod, and I'm like this, because I want to know. I don't want to cheat myself. I want to know if this is happening. Right. So I'm holding it, and I'm saying, hey, can you point at this? Can you point at this? And it's moving. It's moving exactly where I want to point it. And my husband's sitting next to me, and my husband's terrified of child ghosts. Child ghosts are his. No, he won't do it.
I love Logan.
And Logan's going, my husband's going like this. And I said, I can't remember what her name was, but I said, my husband just loves children. Can you, I would love for you to point this at him. Points right at him. And then I said, okay, well, can you point it at me? Turns right around, points at me. And then I said, would you mind spinning it? Can you play with it? Can you spin it? And it spins like this. So, I mean, I don't know. Like that's like a lot. Like I wouldn't be able to, unless I was doing it.
I mean, as long as you're like 100% sure that your hands were completely.
Yeah, no, I know I was good. I was trying to figure out an
external way outside of somebody literally attaching a fishing line to it.
Yeah.
And out externally pulling it around. Yeah. There's really no external way to influence a dowsing rod. Usually the questions I have about them is when somebody's using them on an investigation, because when they're in someone's hands, you have to, it's very easy to manipulate them. So
if you're walking around with them, they're moving.
You can turn them and things.
So I was like this.
Right. So if you're like holding it still, I mean, I don't discount them entirely.
Yeah.
But I do kind of have my suspicions about it. But when the situation you're describing to me, it's not. It sounds like it was definitely externally influenced by something.
That'd be cool, because I mean, it was a cool experience. But that was really my only like, wow, that's interesting, kind of.
And the fact that it was intelligent responses.
Oh, it was very, and it was almost immediate too. Yeah. It didn't take like it wasn't like just a little bit of a there it goes. It was like meh, meh. Meh. Right. Like didn't waste any time. She's like, bitch, I do this every night. $5,
Actually, last night, I just had a.
Oh, he had an experience last night.
I experienced last night, and I just got done letting him outside. And I have 3 locks in the door. The 2 locks that come from the outside inside, and the 1 deadbolt inside that locks from the inside,
but not the outside. Yeah,
not the outside. And I just locked it, and I actually just got done moving around a lot of my altar. Like it was just really crowded, so I just wanted to kind of spread it out. So the energy was still kind of a little like, okay, we need adjustments. We're a Rubik's Cube right now. What's happening? And I actually sat down, and next thing you know, I hear this. I was like, what the hell was that? And I look over, and my top deadbolt in here completely unlocked. I go over it, and I'm like, what the heck? Immediately goosebumps, and I feel like
and his dog's freaking out.
He comes over to the door and starts barking at the door. I turn on the light. I look out the peephole. I look out the
Never
side
look out the
window.
peephole. Haven't you seen horror movies?
Right in the eyeball.
But I mean, you know, it's just it was very disturbing, and he was freaking out. I've never seen him shake like this. I was getting unnerved. I immediately called her.
I know, he was like,
then-
things are happening.
And then I heard my doorknob in my bathroom door jiggle, and then the door opened slightly this much, and I was like, I went over, I just shut the door. I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm done with this. And she's like, sage everything. And I sage immediately right after saging and, you know, trying to manifest and meditate about I want positive intent and everything here. And
oh no.
I mean, I have, of course, other little things, but after I did that, the energy was completely fine. It was completely calm. And I think it was because I was moving everything, a lot of stuff from here to different parts of the house, and it was all creating a bit of a chaotic mess. I feel like when you create an altar, you create that
oh no,
that safety in that sacred space. So
Puppy attack.
yeah, this is a goblin. I live with a legit goblin.
oh, he's heavy.
So it's okay.
Yeah, but no, we have instances all the time, and especially when we do rituals together as a coven.
Yeah, but that's more. We have a lot of like fake, non-human entities.
sir. But we do. But we go. When we have our rituals around the bonfire at her property in our ranch, and there is entities that are around us, and her husband's like, I'm just staying in the house. You guys.
He's like, stop inviting all the Fae into the house.
He's like,
we're all very Fae in tune, so.
So what advice would you give to those who are curious about becoming a witch or embracing the craft?
Go for it.
Who, me or you? That's right. Me, go for it. Yes, that was the advice.
I always say, you know,
find your path.
Find your path.
And don't let anyone tell you what your path is. Only you know what your path is.
Exactly.
Read, research, look at all sorts of different things, even if you don't think that something is something you're going to be interested in. Look at it anyway. You may find an aspect of it that you like that you can carry over to other things that you're doing.
Ask questions. That's what
they're doing. They're asking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, if you what?
We're going to open that up pretty soon. So we'll get to ask.
You know, that's the whole pinpoint of it, is like really just ask the questions. And if you're not too sure about something and you know somebody, or you might know somebody that is into this, or, you know, just go to like a Barnes and Noble and just go to a book, you know, go to the local bookstore and look for the New Age section.
Also, if you don't want to go out because, you know, it's the plague, Amazon has some great books.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is if you go online, you type in something like through Google search or something like that, please be very careful with that, because people post stuff all throughout the internet, and then people take that and then manipulate it into their own wording, and then it just gets passed down and it misinforms. So be very careful. If you're going to do some read a book that you can find like on Amazon or something like that, or just ask your local coven. We always love answering questions. So we've actually helped quite a few people, and it's been absolutely rewarding.
Oh, absolutely. So speaking of pandemic, speaking of apocalypse, and, you know, the four horsemen, namely pestilence, which I was going to dress as for Halloween. Too soon? I don't think so.
Not at all.
Not in 2020, it's not.
Nope, anything can happen in 2020.
All right. So what challenges has the pandemic caused for your coven and the events that you regularly hold? Because you guys do the ball every year, the House of Mab, these things. So have you had to put those things on hold? Or are you having to push them out to next year?
Yeah, so we obviously aren't doing any of those big events this year. I'm not going to say it's all bad. We did definitely are able to take some time for ourselves and to kind of normally October is extremely stressful. Like right now, I would be freaking out trying to figure out the ball for here, the ball for New Orleans, like losing my mind.
It's a back-to-back October. It's back-to-back.
Being able to kind of take some time to learn, you know, for myself, and kind of like take time to be with myself instead of having to just stress constantly for everyone else has been nice. But yes, as far as the events go, like obviously we're not having any events. Elysium, the place that we hold both of these events at, has not been open since March. Yeah. And they've been struggling. A lot of bars in Austin have closed. A lot of venues have closed. Elysium, we've been helping with a fundraiser. It's actually going to be this weekend. It's an online fundraiser. It's actually 48 hours long, all virtual. And it's going to have a ton of performers from all of the leads. Like, we've got drag queens, we've got performers from the Vampire Ball, performers from House of Mab, Sin and Seraphim, Zoe and Zeph's band will be performing. It's just a huge fundraiser. Yeah, so it'll be nice to have that.
And for us, for talking about Elysium and here in Austin, Texas, it's one of the oldest clubs there is downtown. It's
probably one of the oldest buildings. It used to be. It's actually very haunted.
It used to be the
haunted,
town hall.
I want to go investigate it already.
So
I already heard this.
Town hall, and there's been many ghost investigations. The owner of Elysium, John, his wife is a medium, and so she can tell you all about the ghosts that live there. It's very, very interesting.
But it's where all the witch community, the goth community really congregate.
Drag community, gay community, vampire community. Elysium is the only
place. The haven for that kind of our communities, and it's absolutely beautiful. And we're doing our best to save it.
But as far as our coven goes, we did have to take a small break at the beginning. Everyone did their 2-week quarantine just to make sure that we were good to go, and then after that, we were able to come back together, but we had to close off all of our outside, like, okay, we're seeing each other. That means we can't see any of it.
Yeah.
So it's just been very, trying to
over time
manage that.
And over time we've slowly opened it up to a friend or here, there and there and now.
Yeah. For sure.
It's been very difficult at the very beginning, especially for me, because
he's such an extrovert.
Everyone in the group is all introverts. I am the extrovert of the company.
Everyone is his best friend, and
yes,
he has more friends than anyone I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, but it was very difficult for me. So, but they're the ones who really helped me a lot. And then when we were able to see each other, I'm actually at her place every weekend. I go to her place every weekend. I see Zoe and Zeph, and we all try to hang out and when we can do rituals. We're so, even though it's a pandemic, we're still pretty busy with a lot of stuff going on.
We stay busy. So, that's important to try and keep a schedule.
A nice schedule.
So speaking of that, so the fundraiser you have planned, what do you guys have planned next for the YouTube show or other events? Like, are there things that you're doing? What do you have? What do you have on the slate? What's going on?
We actually will be performing at an outdoor, socially distanced Halloween event on the 30th. It's at the Gnostic Temple.
Here in Round Rock, Texas, actually.
Yeah. And
right down the road.
Zoe and Zeph's band will be performing. I'll be doing backing vocals. He's going to be helping with setup and with all the witchy aspects and helping us with the fire and things like that.
I'll be going around and staging. I always stage during the performances, and it's actually one of my most favorite things. So I love creating a protective cleansing circle, not just for our show itself, but also for the audience and such. So,
and for like the online stuff, we hope to do a couple of, we had to kind of put the show on hold because Zoe and Zeph started the business and they've been busy constantly, so we couldn't really keep a schedule every week, but we will be doing a couple of different episodes as specials, maybe one for Halloween. And then on my YouTube channel, I'm trying to upload weekly, but it's been every 2 weeks where I upload a video, and he's either in it or Zoe's in it or we're all in it. So it's just kind of keeping up with different things in our life. And that's just Daily South on YouTube. You can just type in Daily South and I pop up. So.
But Zoe with her House of the Wildling and doing the courses, and then I at the same time open up my own business, Cicada Readings, and I do all my tarot readings. I try to go at least live once or twice a week, and I just do a 1-card reading, and and you can find me at facebook.com and /Cicada Readings, just the way it sounds.
To see the cicada.
There are links for all the things below in the video description. So there's a link to Daily's YouTube channel. There's a link to Zoe's channel. There is a link for her new business as well. And then there's a link for Cicada Readings also, as well as all of their Instagram links. So you can follow all of them on Instagram. Please do.
You like my butt, because that's what's on my Instagram.
On my Instagram. I mean, boobs mostly on my Instagram, but hey.
I don't have those, but I do have a butt.
I don't have that. The link for your guys' channel on Kaiju is also running at the bottom.
Cool.
So it has the playlist with all your episodes on it. So please go check them out. So speaking of Zoe, she's not here, but she does upload content to her YouTube channel. So I have a video queued up that's
beautiful.
That's a poem that she's written, so we can do that. And then how about we do a tarot reading after that?
Let's do it.
You know what? I actually have my cards right here.
Weird how you have your cards ready. That's so crazy.
I actually, fun little fact, everywhere I go in life, I always will have my at least one tarot deck on me.
You know what's funny is everywhere I travel, I always take my cards with me. Like,
yeah, it's just something. If I'm missing my cards, I don't care if we're an hour down the road. We gotta turn around, and we've done that before.
Like, I take my tarot cards, my Thoth deck. That's my deck.
Ooh, girl! I got about 10 of them. I'm about to have a couple more because I have one.
And then my past life cards. I have my past life cards that I take because
we're gonna talk after this.
Okay.
I'm totally video,
so let's queue up the video. So let's do the share screen kind of deal here.
See,
pull that up, and then we are going
Mm-hmm.
to watch the video here. We gotta pull this up.
Video.
We'll go ahead and mute ourselves here.
My songs are little bats.
Mm-hmm. This is smelling absolutely beautiful. I love that. Oh, you're muted.
And there we go.
There you go.
Okay.
You're good.
It'd be the one time that people were like, "Oh God, she finally shut up."
Oh no, never.
I mean, it's true. It's true. It's not a lie. So that's some of the content that's on Zoe's channel. She has a lot of like poetry, and she does some meditations and things like that. So if you're into that, some really beautiful music, some really beautiful songs, definitely go check that out. Again, all of those links are in the video description below. But now let's get into a live reading, shall we?
Yay!
I think that is actually wonderful. So this won't take too long. We're just gonna do right now. We're just gonna kind of do a one-card reading.
Okay.
And with my business, this is what I call cicada readings. I see the cicada as speaking of the spirit totems and everything. The cicada is my guide, and the stag is my spirit totem primarily. So it's always fun. So the Lonesome Cicada is basically a one-card reading, and if you ever message me, we talk about business and such, we do that. Then I pull a card, and you don't tell me what's going on. When I pull this card, I'll send you a whole big long list, but I know we're running out of time, so let's see what this is all about.
All right, let's see.
Vivian, I want you to go ahead and close your eyes just for a brief moment, and as you close your eyes, I want you to envision something that you are wanting guidance on. Now, when you're asking yourself this question, you're going to take in a deep breath through your nostril, and you're just going to go ahead and hold it for a little bit, and then exhale. When you exhale, go ahead and open your eyes, and that'll initiate the reading. Do not tell me what the question is, and we'll proceed. Okay, and take a deep breath. Oh, you're good?
I'm good.
There was a little lag on our end, so there we go.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. All right. Very well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go through the deck, and I want you to do is tell me when to stop, and we'll go ahead and pull that card.
Okay. Stop.
In regards to this, I see there's a lot of grounding energies that's being had. You're having some contemplations that is really been kind of in the back burner of things. You know that you have to deal with this sort of issue, but you haven't really dealt with it just yet. You know you could be done later, but it's been kind of getting. There's been certain pinpoints where you're seeing signs. Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Oh, that reminds me of that. Oh, that reminds me of that. But so let's see what that is.
Ooh.
Interesting. So the card that you drew is the apple, and it's all about the risk and reward. So the apple here, we kind of basically see that, when we take candy from strangers, we use that metaphor. And basically when that happens is that in regards to this is that when we draw from the apple, is that we have this risk. We can take this apple from a stranger and we can take a bite into it, and we can say, think of the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. She takes the apple from a old white,
Old white ladies.
Old white
ladies.
Old white lady. I feel attacked.
Old lady, nice little old white witch. I meant white witch because she's like all good and and everything type magic. In regards to this, when she goes ahead and takes a bite, something happens and she's taking that risk. She doesn't know, but she trusts this lady. So in regards to this is where you're actually being offered something and in your life right now to where you're going to be taking that risk. And you can take this risk and it could actually either lead to something bad or lead to a reward. In regards to this sounds like this one is actually leading to a reward. I'm actually going to draw another card because I want to know what the reward is. As we go ahead and do so, this is showing that you have an opportunity that's coming up to you, and you're not sure if you're really wanting to take it or leave it. And in regards to that, that's where that risk is. So if we are taking it, let's see where that is. We get the trick or treat card, which actually leads to a mischief in play. I know it says going to do one card, but sometimes the universe within is like, hey, So in regards to this, by you're taking this card, you get the trick or treat card. So this is really telling us that now you really have you've taken the bite of the apple. This is going to be a little bit mischief, a lot of mischief at play. You're not too sure if this was a good idea, but you're not too sure if this was a bad idea. It's more that you are along the line on the fence. So we got two trick-or-treaters, and it's like, trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. If you don't, we got that little rhyme.
They gonna pull down your underpants.
There you go. In regards to this one, this actually shows that there's there's 4 jack-o'-lanterns, and the 4th one though is a little bit darker than the others. So that's where that mischief and that play is, because the jack-o'-lantern represents a lot of protection and everything. So you're having a lot of guards up, but at this point in time to where you're taking this this little risk here, you're just going to go for it. It sounds like basically what's happening is that this has been kind of on the back burner, and it's been really telling you just go for it, see what happens. This is the risk that you're going to take. You're going to learn from this experience, but there may be a little bit of mischief play at foot, but at the same time, you're going to be happy with this experience. I'm going to do one more card just to kind of see. Interesting. So this is where it's kind of blocking the vision here, because you get the Skull of Darkness, which is all about blind spots. So this is why you've been putting it on the back burner. You haven't been sure about it. You're not too sure. You've been kind of, where do I want to go? And the Skull of Darkness is really showing, it's kind of funny because it's not really darkness, because there's a light on the skull. But it really represents the blind spot because of that risk that you're not too sure. Do I really want to go this path, or do I just want to kind of just leave it and just put it away? The trick-or-treaters are here to really show you what you can give. So in regards to this is really telling us what energy do you want to receive and what energy do you want to sacrifice to take this risk but to gain that reward. Be careful of the blind spot. This is something that has been actually bothering you for some time, as far as I can tell. But overall, it may or may not be a good outcome. I mean, it's all negative and positive. It's, when we read cards, we really just let them do their own thing, and it kind of helps us guide in the direction we don't want to go, but in a direction that we may need to go. So overall,
Cards don't care about your feelings.
yeah, they really, I mean, they don't,
They
but I
really
really do think this might be a really good risk for you. Overall, no matter what the reward is, it's going to be the experience you're going to gain from, and you're going to be able to learn from this whole entire atmosphere that's creating right now.
Awesome.
Life is about risk.
Powering ahead. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So now I like to ask my guests, thank you so much for that reading, by the way. And please, please, please go follow Cicada Readings on Facebook. Please go ask Jeffrey for a reading. He's amazing. I've had a reading by him. That's my second reading I've had by him, and they've been scarily accurate.
Oh, thank you.
So, definitely.
I've had people literally get up and cry, and I feel bad. And they're like, "No, you just have no idea." I'm like, "Okay."
It's not just a reading; it's a therapy session.
You know, that is not the first time that's happened.
No,
People have said that.
It's accurate.
Whoa. So, but thank you for allowing me to read for you. I know it was a little bit rushed. Normally, I go a little longer than that. So
it's totally fine. So we're still okay. We're still okay on time. We have we'll wrap it up here shortly. Actually, somebody was curious as to what deck you are using for that.
This one, I was actually in New Orleans visiting some family, and my mom, I was at the tarot reading, all the tarot decks, and I saw this one. This one's a shadow deck. It's a Halloween deck. And I really like here, I'll show you guys a little bit of the illustrations of how everything is. And it's actually beautiful. These cards are really laminated, so that it's a little glossy, which you don't normally get on them, but the illustrations are really beautiful, and it's a lot of skulls,
Beautiful
really
artwork.
haunting, and you can really learn a lot because fun thing, these are more like oracle cards. I read the cards the way that I see the pictures and what cards match with each other. Half the time, I don't even know what half of all these cards really do mean. I do have the book, and that, you know, usually
These have a little thing at the bottom too, which is nice.
they have like a little definition and such, which really does help. But for me, it's just because I'm so intuitive. I've been doing it for 18 years. It's to a point where I don't even look at books anymore. I just get the cards and I start just
The card, yeah.
bam, 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 and see what happens. But it's always good to get the books and have it as guide if needed.
Oh, absolutely. It never hurts to have that reference, for sure. I do kind of the same thing when I do readings with the Thoth deck that I have. Like, I don't 100% know the meanings of every single card, like, by memory.
Oh, it's a lot of work when you have to do that. I have 10 different ones, and
it's a lot to memorize.
yeah. Whoever that was asking that question, if you want, message me on my Facebook business page, and I'll be more than happy to find the ISBN and send you the link to this deck if you wouldn't like that.
Absolutely, definitely.
Great for the Halloween season.
Oh, entirely.
Yeah,
This is I call my Samhain deck, and it's been calling to me a lot lately. So it was appropriate.
And
for
he's
tonight.
back.
And the puppy is back. So I do like to ask survey questions at the end of interviews. All the questions so far have been blind, but you guys have not seen these survey questions. Is that correct?
No, not at all.
Awesome. So I like to ask questions of my guests, kind of in the style of like Inside the Studio, where you ask the survey at the end. So I changed the questions a little bit because a lot of times they're focused on paranormal. So I have a couple paranormal ones in there, but mostly kind of change them around so that we have them kind of more towards the craft. So question number 1, Ouija boards, yes or no?
Yes. Sorry.
Yes-ish.
I'm comfortable with them. I will tell you one thing.
I think this was supposed to be a quick answer.
Yeah, it's taken me a while to get used to them. I used to be no on them for the longest time in my life.
My husband will not allow them in my house, but I am getting more comfortable with them because I've used them with them.
Yes.
That's my answer.
Yeah. Zoe and I are really into it, and it's been only the last couple of years to where I've been comfortable with them, and so yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes. I'm sorry. I get excited when I hear about that now.
Yes. So what questions do you love being asked about your practice?
What are you? For
what
one.
are you?
I like any question that involves the individual who's asking learning something.
Mm-hmm.
And just being able to tell them, like, just find your path. I also love any types of questions about, like, fairy witchcraft or the fae side of things. I can talk about vampires for hours because I literally know everything there is to know from 8 years of doing interviews, research.
I always
those are fun, easy for me.
I always like discussing similarities of the same kind of craft or otherwise, and if we have differences, I like to discuss that and combine our differences and find a resolve for both of us to understand. So
I asked him if he needed to go potty, and he jumped up.
He's excited, puppy.
Just a little.
So conversely, what are statements or questions or statements that you hate being asked?
Are you? Oh gosh. Are you a Satanist? I mean, but I feel like that's the real generic term.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like we said in the beginning, we're not, but we appreciate everything. But
I feel
it's just because how society and other faiths have pinpointed to just that versus being more of an open-minded, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't feel like there's necessarily any bad question if it's a legit question.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like if someone really wants to know and is really interested in educating themselves, I don't necessarily believe that there's a bad question. Some people are going to ask questions they don't actually want to know the answer to. They're just being dicks.
They're just being jerks.
That's my answer to that.
Entirely. We love trolls, though. We love them.
Oh yeah, their trolls are fun.
Hi, haters.
What's up, haters?
Hey. My favorite response to those, because I've been out sometimes when I've had like this shirt that has like crosses on it that some of them are upside down, and I have like, my stuff on and all black as I usually wear, because I don't really have too many other clothes that are not all black. But people like will come up and be like, "Oh, like, do you worship the devil?" And my favorite response to that is, "Fuck around and find out." Fuck around and find out.
We're gonna start. Yes, we're gonna start using that because I want that as a shirt now. I want to say "fuck around, find out," Vivian.
Yes.
I mean,
there's some merch for you.
It does, because I'm like, you know what? Like, I get so tired of that question, and it's just maybe just my own exhaustion of getting asked that. Because I do understand when people are genuinely curious. There's a difference between being genuinely curious about that question and being an asshole.
Yep.
And when people throw out when they're just like, they can come up and they're just being an asshole, I'm like, no, fuck around and find out, dude. Like, do you want to find out? Do you want to end up in a jar? Because this is how you end up in a jar.
I feel like you and Zoe would get along to the T. Like,
or Michelle, one of our viewers said, just ask them for some hair.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Well, I don't believe in witches. Okay, can I have some of your hair?
Your hair? Can I have some toenail clippings? Don't worry about it.
You don't believe in witches, right? It's okay.
There's a few TikToks I like going around. You're not a witch. Yes, I am. Prove it. I already did.
Yeah,
what you did. What do you mean? Don't worry. I love it. It's fantastic how that is.
So
next question: love spells, yes or no?
No. Whatever that answer was. So I think there's a right and a wrong way to do love spells. I think you can do a love spell that simply brings an opportunity about for love. You can do something that says, kind of like brings the universe brings love to you. Right. It's not make this person love me. It's
love me.
Bring love. I want to bring love into my life. And then there's also ways to, I would like to strengthen a relationship I already have. There's ways to go about things without messing with free will type of thing.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't deal with free will, I'm pretty open to it. I don't really deal in that sort of thing, but I'm open to.
I may have done a couple in my life.
Me, yeah, same. How does the phrase go? You never start a marriage with a kidnapping.
Right.
Hey, as long as they fit in the trunk, you're good.
Just shh.
Take one, leave one.
Take one.
So what question would you love to ask your guide, your spirit guide, or your patron, or your ancestor, whoever guides you, if they were here right now?
I feel like they always are.
Oh, they're always around. Yeah, they're always
around. But if they were physically here right now, I would just I feel like I'm a healer as it is, but like, what can I do better to heal? Really, because I know everyone goes through their own trials and errors and trauma and everything else like that. And I just want to know what I can do.
How can I heal better?
How can I heal better? And
how can I be the best me that there is?
Exactly.
Best version of myself. I would probably also ask, what is the goddamn point of all this fucking pain?
Good question.
Why? Dear universe.
Like,
Dear
that would be a
universe.
question.
Why?
Other than, I think those are a good 2 questions. Why all the crap? And how can I be the best version of myself?
Me.
Yeah.
What is your biggest fear?
Death. Done.
It's out. The end.
I personally have.
Oh no! He's
Well,
come to eat me.
Oh no.
I would say, well, for me, it's not death, as that would normally be my first one to say. I'm so attuned with it now. I mean, I do ferryman work as well. You got someone stuck in limbo, I'm your guy to talk to. But no, I would say being alone, as being an extrovert, and also like how close I'm with my coven. If anything ever happened to any of them, I would just lose it.
We're
I would
not going
lose
to get
it.
too depressing in this.
Yeah.
Right, let's not get too sad.
But I'm an extremely bad hypochondriac, which means health anxiety. I have terrible fear of like getting cancer. Like, I'm constantly convinced that I'm dying of something.
Mhm.
And I've had that my whole life. So I think that's always been my biggest fear, is like catching something that could eventually kill me.
Right.
Yeah.
Big thing.
Yeah, death is a huge one. But yeah, being alone.
I think
and
that's
death
why I
and
want
that.
so badly to have a paranormal experience.
So you know this.
I'm like,
yeah.
Come to me.
Scream for me, children.
I know I want
Yeah.
I want the ghost to walk up to me and go, "Hello, my name is Chad." Like, I want to fuck me up.
Chad. Oh, Chad.
Oh, Chad.
That's
Ooh.
so and so.
Never dated Chad.
Never dated Chad. Always dated Vlad.
Ah. There's some more merch.
There. I'm just
Vivian.
I'm talking to him tonight. Off the pot. Yeah. So rule of 3 or /hexes /curses, yes or no?
Rule of 3. You know, I honestly do believe in the rule of 3. I believe that things do come in 3s. Hexes and curses are. I personally have been hexed. I have been cursed, and I've broken those. It's taken me a little bit of time to figure that out. That who it was and why and such like that. And if you do it, you will just be careful with it, because it does come back on you.
I think
If not in this lifetime, it'll come back in another lifetime.
I think, again, like the love spells, there's a right and a wrong way to do them.
Yeah.
I mean, you always have to remember, if you put anything negative out into the universe, you're going to have to pay a price for that.
Right.
But I also think that there's a way to enact a kind of karma spell for someone, that if they have done bad, that they will kind of reap that karma that is owed to them.
Right.
And I think that that's probably a safer way to do that type of ritual, rather than just being like, I cuss you for all eternity and here's bad energy, all the bad. Because I've personally done.
Now, if it was that easy.
I've done before I was even practicing. I've sent out bad energy to people before when I was just in the fit of rage, and I did have to pay for that the following year. Like, I had a lot of bad shit happen.
Right.
And so I was just like, okay, we're gonna not do that, because even though I wasn't a practicing witch at the time, I still did send that out, and it worked. But I had to pay a price for it.
You gotta pay the piper. Right.
Yeah. I will.
Pay the piper.
I will definitely say there was something I did last year, actually around this time, and actually, is today the anniversary of that date?
I don't know.
Today, yeah, I think today is the anniversary of that date, and or tomorrow will be. And I performed something. I broke a hex, but by doing so, I had to pay a heavy price because of how powerful I believe that was, and it sent me into
the hospital
for 2 weeks. Wow. I actually, that night, I almost died, and I do still to this date really believe that it was because of what I did. But I was sacrificing my own life source to save others, and it did. I did, and it worked.
I've hexed before, so I've done it before, but yeah, like, it's one of those, like, if you're gonna do it, you just have to know the consequences of it and be prepared to accept the consequences. So
prepare your if you do feel like you are needing to or wanting to, definitely prepare yourself, because you don't know whatever is going to come back at you.
Lots of protection too.
Entirely.
Do a lot of that, and then I do a lot of like, a lot of minor, like, I'm like, you know what? I feel like this is karmic balance.
There you go. Oh, my bank account's negative? Wait, didn't I do that one thing? Okay, I get it. But
all right, I understand. I totally get
it. It happens.
What is your most prized witchy possession?
No,
I get it.
He's off and away. He's crawling through his home.
Come here, my buddy. Hey, how you doing? All right.
Here we go. Y'all ready?
This is actually been gifted to me, and this is actually, like I said, we have our spirit totems and our guides, and this is my spirit totem. This is this was gifted to me by a bunch, witches and such, and this is I name him Akaziel, and he is a stag, and the stag represents strength. If I could lose every single witchy thing I have, even my tarot cards, and it is what it is. But if anything ever happened to this skull right here with these antlers, I would just lose it. I would feel like my magic would just drift away. So yeah,
he's very
there you go, Akaziel.
I like him.
I can't show you mine because I'm not at my house, but mine is actually, it was gifted to me by Zoe. It was one of the first rituals that we did together. She was actually doing a cord removal ritual for me. I was going through a very, 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 very bad time, and she removed a bunch of cords from me, and it was a very intense ritual. I was crying, and she gave me this amulet that had been passed down through her generations, and I think she said it was from Peru originally. And it's this amulet. You can tell it's been handcrafted. It's made out of, there's like some type of seed in the middle, very old. And she said whenever she wore it, it would put this armor of protection around her, and you can just feel it. And she gave it to me, and she said, I've known that this was supposed to go with someone else for a while. I just wasn't sure who, but now I know. And she put it on me, and I was just
crying.
Yeah. And so, and it hangs over my bed, and if I'm ever going through any type of like having a really bad day, or I'm feeling a lot of negativity coming at me, I'll wear it under my clothes throughout the day as just this shield. And yeah,
that's what I do. I go in the garden, I meditate, and I have him right in my lap.
Right in his crotch.
Yep,
it's right there.
Right there. What about you, Vivian? Actually, what about you?
Mine is probably the ashes. I have the ashes of two of my former familiars in a necklace.
Oh wow!
That I keep with me at all times, and I feel like if I lost those, I would just like lose.
Yeah, I'm terrified of losing jewelry. So while I do have a ring with my familiar's ashes in it, I just went ahead and got them tattooed into me as well. So I'd have to lose my leg and my hip. Like.
I really want to do that as well. Like I really want to get the paw prints. Their paw prints.
Oh, that's what I have.
Yeah, like that's totally what I get. Like I have two, and I'll just add them. Like I want to get them on my side and just like add as they go. So it's just going to be like a path of paw prints down. Like
that's beautiful. I love that.
You can mix the ashes in with the ink, and it works great.
So that's what I'm like, if I could lose everything else, like I could lose every crystal I own. I could lose every deck I own, my crystal ball, like all of that. If I lost their ashes, I would just lose my mind. Speaking of that, it's like, would you want to be a ghost?
Would I want to be a ghost?
You want to be a ghost when you die?
Yes. I would want to be anything that is still existing, honestly. Because that's like, when it comes to death, my biggest fear is like just nothing. So any type of cautiousness after death is my ideal. I don't even care if it's bad. I just want to still
I just want to be there.
Yeah, so I'd love to be a ghost. I'd fuck with people. Would be great.
I mean, as long as I have the ability to come back and forth, where whichever.
Yeah, you don't want to be stuck.
You don't want to be stuck in limbo or some. But I would definitely want to go and haunt my friends and kind of mess with them a few times.
Great.
And, little things like that. But mess with people. But
so.
But I mean, I would also. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like it's hard to say because we don't really know what it's like on that end. And if that's better life, then I'm all for that. At this place, I'm done. But if I can haunt my friends, I'm all for it, especially if it's her husband.
Oh no.
Hi, Logan.
Hi. I got a list of people I'm gonna haunt. So like I'm like, yep, like bring it, come on. I'm gonna be that poltergeist in your house that's opening cabinets. Like 100%. What final question? What advice would you give to those who may be afraid of magic or witches?
There are endless opportunities and possibilities that can happen. I just want to say that you could be amazed at the doors that it will open. If it wasn't for magic, I wouldn't know where I would be right now, because it's really saved my life. It's really helped me open my mind and just overall be a very laid back and very magical person.
Yeah.
And
I
love it. I absolutely love it.
I feel like witches are like anybody else. You've got good people, you've got bad people in any type of group. And so you're going to find good people that are witches, and you're going to find less happy people that are witches.
Yeah.
But I feel like all in all, being a witch, like being actually a witch and not just someone that's like, oh, I'm doing some magic today, means that you are more awakened in your own self and more awakened with the world. And I feel like once you get to that point in your life, you don't really feel any need to be a bad person. You know, you don't have that heaviness on you that makes you angry towards the world. So I feel like the majority of witches are probably better than most of the people, you know, that are just out in the world as it is.
Yeah,
definitely. So I'm going to open it up now to some Q&A from the viewers. I do already have one question queued up. So this is from Nathan. Let me go back here and pull it. So he has a question. Shadowcast Coven, any particular Lesser Key of Solomon book you recommend?
Oh God, my husband would be great with this question. I have not studied a ton of the Lesser Key of Solomon. My husband actually has, and he doesn't consider himself a witch, but he's done a ton of research into that aspect of spirituality. I find it very interesting, but I haven't read enough of the books to be able to give you an exact one that I can say is like the one to read. I feel like if you're wanting to research something, especially something as heavy as that, I would just kind of key up as many books as you can get your hands on and just kind of go at it, because there's a lot to look at in there. And some of it is ridiculously mind-blowing. And some of it's probably deeper than I would ever even want to go. And it's so funny because my husband is very much not with the witchy woo, like he says, but man, he knows some stuff about Key of Solomon type of stuff, and it's crazy.
Logan would be the guy to go to for that.
Sure. So anyone else have any questions for the members of the Coven that we have not answered yet? Please post them below.
A lot of them.
and also know this, that you know, if you guys don't want, if you're not sure what to ask right now, definitely go watch our 8 episodes that we have with the company we kind of went through for a little while, Kaiju Labs Media. We have 8 different episodes, and we have a very profound layout of sources that we actually touch. So yeah.
Oh, and if you're looking for a good source on fairy witchcraft, which is a type of like a lesser known type of witchcraft, there are a couple of books on fairy witchcraft, and they're absolutely incredible. So that may be
quite a few.
That may be a path that you might want to look into right now.
Yeah.
So Michelle has a question. She says, "What are your feelings on the Golden Dawn?"
I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
I do apologize, Michelle, but we're not too familiar with the Golden Dawn. I feel like
I might know what it is, and maybe I just don't know that terminology.
We're both very visual, so if we see it, we're like, oh, hey,
that.
It's a political party.
Okay. Usually known as the Golden Dawn, is a far-right criminal organization and political party of Greece, which is commonly described as neo-Nazi and fascist. I mean,
are we asking? Is that what she's asking about? Because when I type in Golden Dawn, all I'm getting is Nazis. So
yeah,
I'm gonna say no to that.
If it's a Nazi, I'm punching him in the face.
I think there might be another.
There possibly is probably something else that she's referencing.
But that's what there's.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So we're gonna go with no on Nazis. That's a pretty safe bet.
Do you know what if there might be another? Huh?
She says it's an ancient group. It had Rudolf Steiner in it. So it could be something. I'm not sure if this is something tied to like Masons or something, or one of those like
the Golden Dawn, the ESA was inspired.
This is interesting. I do not know anything about this.
I am interested now.
But
Thank you.
I am going to look into it because when I first started looking at Golden Dawn, I was seeing some not good things.
Some not nice things.
Immediately, like, did we just get asked if we approve Nazis?
Like,
because we don't.
Because we don't.
Oh, well, this is really fascinating. I feel like I really want to look more into that. So thank you for opening.
Okay,
there
so
you go.
Esotericism. Okay, yeah. So
yeah, Mr. Crowley was in it as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not too familiar with that.
That makes more sense. Because I was a little concerned for a minute. I'm like, oh well.
Oh, we're going there. Okay.
Well, what do you do with Nazis? You punch them.
Hard and fast. Okay. So Connery has a question. Opinions on blood magic.
I'm gonna let you take this one because you're the one. That would be.
You've done blood magic before.
I have only done blood magic once in my life, and that was the very first time when I started my own craft. And I would just say I didn't know what I was doing, and I kind of wish I did research beforehand.
I feel like most people that have done blood magic before has a similar experience. Their first time was probably very
alien,
uneducated, and that's fine. I mean, that's okay. You know, we all go through phases.
We live and learn.
But I feel like with blood magic, it is a very powerful type of magic. Mm-hmm. And if Zoe was here, she actually did some recently, especially as a woman, utilizing period blood or anyone who menstruates, utilizing period and menstrual blood is a very powerful magic to utilize. As far as other people's blood, please make sure you have consent for utilizing it. But with blood magic, it can be very dangerous. It can be extremely difficult to control. Make sure you're using all types of protection, as many types of protection as you can get. Also, make sure that you're being safe physically. You're drawing it in a safe way. The way that we utilize for feeding is we use a lancet, which just pricks your finger, and that keeps you from, getting too much blood or leaving a scar. Mm-hmm. Make sure you're, cleaning everything and keeping it sanitized. But with blood magic, it's like any other type of magic that's a little bit more on the lesser approved side. I know some people might think of blood magic and think, ooh, that's the bad kind. But any type of magic with the right research can be safe, as long as you're educated and know what you're doing. But with blood magic, there's just a couple of extra steps that you're going to want to take to be safe and make sure that you're not getting yourself into too deep of waters there.
Right. Sarah has a question from Facebook. So you use dark magic. Is that a thing? It is a thing.
It is a thing.
It is.
Welcome to the thing.
Yeah. Well, I am of the unseelie spectrum. So there's the seelie and unseelie fae.
I feel like we first need to kind of make sure that you know that dark doesn't mean evil.
Yes.
Dark and light can be interchangeable. Light does not mean good. Dark does not mean evil. Both can be a balance. We have to have both. Light wouldn't exist without darkness, etc.
Entirely.
Continue with what you're saying.
But no, with the unseelie spectrum, that's more of a darker side of craft, and it's not necessarily like you were saying, evil or blah, blah, blah. It's just I see the darker aesthetic of how a craft can be used by tuning with this kind of magic versus the lighter side of magic and such like that. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. If you really dive into those two sources, you'll be amazed on how different, but how much of the same that they are.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very much so. I'm very much like the gray, I guess, like
the gray scale of everything. Yeah.
I'm like, there's not, like you said, there wouldn't be dark without light and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Entirely.
You have to tread the path of balance.
Yeah. I will say though, how television shows have shown that dark magic is evil and
we don't call upon the Satan or the Dark Lords, which I mean some people do, and nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong at all.
But we don't. That's not what we do. And I wouldn't consider anything that we do to be evil or on that spectrum. Anything that we do that we could consider dark magic would just be utilizing the element of darkness.
And
shadow aspects and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Right. shadow magic and shadow self are very important to harness when you're doing any kind of magic. You need to have that darker aspect of yourself because there is power in that.
Yep.
Entirely.
Learning that right now with Zoe's course.
Yes.
Right now. So I did leave, there is a link for her courses on there as well.
Wildly.
Hello, look at that. Look at me go. So if there's no other questions, if you guys didn't get your questions answered in time, or if you missed the live stream, go ahead and post your questions in the chat below. I will make sure that they get the questions and they're able to answer them for you.
Yes, please.
And then thank you. I want to thank you for being my guests today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. It's been an honor. And I love watching your show. So
thank you so much. I could talk about magic for hours.
Oh yeah. I remember we used to get in trouble back when we used to work for each other. Like,
Really, it's like, just the whole thing. So below to catch up on the Coven's latest activities. And don't forget to like and subscribe to their show that's on there now, as well as their individual channels where they share their lives and their personal practice. So please make sure to go check out the links, their Instagrams, everything, cicada readings, all of that. All of those things. Guys, anything you want to plug in the last minute before I let you go?
I think we plugged all the things.
That's a lot of plug.
we definitely plugged every avenue that we could.
Yeah, just
unless you really want to see me naked and I have an OnlyFans, have fun with that.
There you go.
What's funny is Nathan actually was good. He has like, I have a question. He's like, I have a request rather than a question. He's like, I was going to be a smart ass and ask to see her leg again with her tattoo.
Go to her Instagram.
Well, you can see, it's just my leg, but yeah. I don't want to miss that.
Just go to her Instagram. You'll
I'm very unclothed on Instagram, and then if you want to see me unclothed and doing some stuff, I have an OnlyFans.
And that's all right too.
It's 2020. Who doesn't have an OnlyFans these days?
Yeah. But overall, really, just everyone just have an open mind when you are approached with these sort of things, and just go with the flow of things. If something is attuned to you and you really find that fascinating, go with it. Prepare yourself and just enjoy the journey.
Everyone has different paths and different levels of information, and that's okay.
Ooh.
And it's okay to ask questions. Please don't be afraid to ask. Like, that's the one thing that I do. I keep my practice mostly to myself. I don't like talk a lot about it to other people. Just I kind of let it exist.
Well, now everyone knows, Vivian. Everyone knows.
Out of the broom closet. But here's the thing. I just let it talk through my energy. Like, I don't talk about it. I just let it exude from me. And if people have questions, I let them come to me. I'm very conscious of making sure that I don't force anything on anyone just because I know that's not fun. Like, that's not fun. We stray from mainstream religion because of a lot of that. So, for sure. So ask questions. Happy Samhain, you guys, coming up.
Blessed Samhain.
So thank you so much for being my guest today. I'll let you guys go because I know it's getting kind of late where you are. And we will definitely catch up soon. I would love to have you guys back on with the full coven and maybe do some more readings and do some maybe some live spellcraft or whatever you guys are comfortable doing.
I'm totally down for that. Yeah.
You're down.
Well, Vivian, thank you again. It's been an honor, and we appreciate you so much. And blessed journeys. And
thank you.
Thank you
safe.
thank you to everyone else. Be safe out there and wear a mask.
Stay witchy, everybody.
Stay witchy.
So thank you guys for joining me tonight. Join me next week when we dive back into the world of paranormal investigations with my guests from all the way down under, Ethereal Sisters Paranormal. Until then, stay spooky, friends.